Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 3 of Visions of Tomorrow, the review series for Gran Turismo 6's selection of Vision Gran Turismo concept cars. And in this particular episode we're featuring the Nissan VisionGT car, the Concept 2020. And it's a very interesting car. It's one of my probably least favourite Vision GTs, to be completely honest, because I'm not a huge fan of the GTR anyway, and this is essentially a next generation GTR design concept, really. There are a few things about the car which are quite interesting and perhaps not what you'd expect, such as the fact that it's actually a four-seater, which it really does not look like, but according to the game's in-game information, it is a 2+2, which seems almost unbelievable. There must be hardly any legroom in the back whatsoever. Obviously it's not a real working model anyway, but still an interesting idea. A second interesting thing is the powertrain. It's powered by a twin-turbo 3.8 litre V6, again, not surprising for a GTR variant, and it's also powered by 3 electric motors. It's all-wheel drive, and the electric motors can be used at any time to give you that extra burst of speed. Now it costs 1 million credits, as most of the Vision GTs do, so what does it offer for that price? Well, the engine produces an unknown amount of torque. We're not told how much on the game. We don't know when peak power and torque arrive, but the peak power is just under 700 horsepower, 698 to be exact, with an oil change, and the PP sits at, I would say, a pretty reasonable 616. You definitely wouldn't want it to be any higher than that due to how competitive the car is, or how uncompetitive it is, to be completely honest. Because as good as this car is on its own terms, and that it certainly is, it's a quick car and it's a very good car around the track, but its range of effectiveness is very limited. The tuning options are virtually non-existent. We cannot tune the gears. Now the top speed is over 220, but that's it. You can never get any more than that from the car. The acceleration is what it is, because as I said, you can't change the gearing. There's virtually nothing that you can change on this car that makes a big difference to how it performs, apart from, of course, the tyres. Now around the track, it's a very good machine. It's essentially, as we said, a next generation supercar GTR. So, of course it's going to be quick around the track, of course it's going to handle phenomenally well and be a performance monster. But it's just not that amazingly good. It's good, as I said, on its own terms, but it's not all that fast in a straight line for the power because of how limited the gearing is. And around the track, it's nothing special, to be completely honest. It's good, but so are plenty of other Vision GT cars. So, as a quick roundup, I would say that this car is primarily for people who are specifically fans of the GTR and who would like to drive what you could imagine as being the next generation of the GTR. It may not end up being the next generation, which has now been postponed, but still, some cues and design cues predominantly probably of this car may well end up on the next generation GTR. If it does end up looking like this, that will be awesome, but I just don't think that Nissan will do that. It just doesn't make sense. The GTR has always been a practical performance car. This vehicle, although a 2+2, just almost removes all of that practicality, and I don't think customers would want that. So we may see some design cues from the car, but overall I don't think the next generation GTR will look exactly like this. Now, should you buy it? Well, as I said, if you're a GTR fan, you will probably like the car. It sounds like the GTR, it looks like a supercar version. Some consider it to already be a supercar, I personally don't, but a more pure supercar shape for the GTR. And it's a nice car. It produces an okay horsepower per tonne, to be completely honest. It's not that amazing for a supercar, 443 horsepower per tonne, which, as I said, isn't that amazing. There are super saloons and hot hatches that put that down, and the main reason for that is because it's pretty heavy. It weighs 1,575 kilos, and you cannot make it any lighter. It kind of shares many of the same issues as one of my favourite Vision GTs, which is the Infinity. It's essentially the same car underneath, just a redesigned model. There are differences, of course, but they're very, very similar. But with the Infiniti, I just like it for the look. I don't care what it's capable of. So if you're that kind of person about this car, then you probably will enjoy owning it. And there are some nice options, such as having bare carbon, as I have here, as a paint colour option. Apart from if you're an actual fan though, there's not much which should really draw you to this car. For 1 million credits, it's not particularly good value, to be completely honest. There are plenty of supercars and even other concept cars which offer a whole lot more for a whole lot less. So it's not a bad car, and I personally think that we may see an updated version of this featured on the game, because Nissan has of course now updated this concept car. It looks slightly different. The red concept car may well come to Gran Turismo, who knows. I personally hope that they do. Like with the BMW M4, it may allow us to actually end up tuning that vehicle. Now, if we end up being able to tune this car, I will re-release this review to do it justice, because that will completely change the car's potential. But for now, it's a nice car on paper that unfortunately doesn't quite deliver anything special in practice. So that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.